Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Shivers. Now, this will be the final episode for this Halloween special. Therefore, the stories will be actually at random. It can be either mix of my own experiences or my friends' experiences that they have shared together with me. So, without further ado, let's go straight to our very first story. Okay, so this first story actually dates very far back during my primary school days when I was still staying in Ang Mo Kio. Now, at that time, the MRT hasn't been built yet. So basically, there is the Ang Mo Kio Garden, which is just opposite my block. Previously, I was staying at this block 424, which is the point block of that location, which is currently is facing the MRT station that we have now. So at that time I was still in primary school, so basically I was very young. I think I was within the age of 10 to 12. It is just a normal day to day kind of thing. So at night, as per normal, after dinner, rest for a while, then we'll just go back to sleep. Usually during that time, I will be with my father if he's not working night shift, to sleep outside in the living room together with him. So what happened was that at that night, I went to bed together with him in the living room. So it was until about maybe 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, which I suddenly saw a black figure with his hands up, like as if he was being pointed a gun at him, walking out from my sister's room, going towards the kitchen. So at that point, I was thinking, was that my sister or was it something else? But after a few minutes of that shadow passing by, coming out from my sister's room, going to the kitchen, my sister came out doing the same thing. So I was like quite puzzled. Okay, now I just saw one like walking like that with the hands up going towards the kitchen, but it's a silhouette figure. So basically, you can't actually see any facial features or whatever clothes he's wearing is totally black. Then subsequently, my sister came out, and I can see it's my sister because I can see the facial features, whatever she is wearing slightly, because I'm kind of like able to see slightly in the dark. So I was like, okay, if my sister was the second one, who was the first one? My mom's out at work. I'm with my dad beside me. And who did actually came out from my sister's room going out to the kitchen? Now, the thing that puzzles me is that when the day or when that day came, when my sister came back from school, I asked her, okay, did you come out of your room with your hands up going towards the kitchen? She ended up saying no. So, I mean, I got my answer for my sister. So basically, the question is, who did I saw that morning? Now, these kind of things, some would say it usually appears at night, uh, usually appears in the morning before dawn, and some would say it appears anytime. So for me, it's like maybe, maybe since right now at my age, I might say that it might be a guardian, but possibly, who knows? It's a solid silhouette figure, no facial features, no clothes, nothing. You can't see anything of any features on that figure. So until now, that thing still remains a question, and I still debate with my sister about it, about who is that silhouette actually is. So have you encountered this kind of thing at home? And what did you do? Leave in the comments below. Okay guys, so the next story brings us more on the road, right? If like currently, if you tell me, or during that period in time, if you tell me or you ask me out and tell me that we are going to go by public, highly I would say no, right? I prefer not to go by public because why? Of the congestion, the tons of people rushing into the MRT, rushing into the bus is really stressful. I prefer to like start the bike, straight away reach there ASAP, do whatever we need to do, get back ASAP. Right? So what happened was that on that day, I went out together with my girlfriend, back then girlfriend, now is my wife. We were on the way back from the hospital because she is due for checkup, so we went for the checkup at Tan Tock Seng Hospital. Then we were on the way back to head to the prata shop at Upper Thomson that is known for the crispy prata. So we are on the way to Upper Thomson via this I think Marymount stretch, which actually comes to the junction where the exit from PIE just before the police academy, the old police academy. So at that time the traffic light was red, and it was like I think past 7 p.m. It was quite dark. So the traffic light was red. We stopped. Then suddenly, something just flew over our head. What I did was, I mean, it's a taboo lah, but anyway, we end up sitting at the prata shop eating anyway. So I turned around. I asked my back then my girlfriend, say, "Hey, what's that?" The thing that I saw, or both of us saw, was actually something definitely not a bird, right? Definitely not an eagle or a hawk, but it's definitely brown, kind of like those soil brown, and it's definitely kind of like a cloth which is torn. So what I did was actually so-called stupid lah. In fact, by right, if you see this kind of thing, you should not actually talk about it until maybe in the daytime or in the morning. So we were still, at that time was still night, but anyway we are heading to makan. So I asked her, "Hey, what was that?" So she was like, give me this one kind look that's like, "Hey, we shouldn't be talking about it, right?" So okay, fine. So we just head over to the prata shop, had our dinner, and thankfully nothing happened. Right? Thankfully nothing happened. I am pretty sure that it was her that actually flew over, because it's definitely not feather-like. It's more to cloth-like. Ooh. Okay guys, now for this story is actually experienced by one of my riders. Back then I was actually in charge of the MACD riders in Ang Mo Kio, right? All the, I think the 3 or 4 outlets, right? For the meantime, because I think there wasn't any supervisor, so the company actually or the manager actually appointed me as a supervisor to oversee all the 3 or 4 outlets in Ang Mo Kio. So what happened was, as usual, we did our night shift. Everybody came. Everybody was like having fun, then joking with each other. Then came night time. I think about maybe 12 o'clock onwards. So at that time, I think it was the World Cup or Premier League. So all the orders are like consistently coming in, and everybody is like rushing for the docket trips or the docket fare that they can bring home. So one of my riders, he's a Malay, so he got his order and he went out. So when he went out, a few minutes later he came back. His face was totally pale. Now, what actually happened was that when he got to the location where he was supposed to send the order, right now, I won't tell you the exact block actually, but it is located along Ang Mo Kio Avenue 1, the 200 series. Now, if you guys don't know, that whole stretch, Bishan Park, Bishan, was actually a huge Chinese cemetery. Bishan Park Secondary, whatever that location where the Bishan Park is right now, was previously was a huge Chinese cemetery. So I saw the cemetery. I mean, the individual, that individual thing was pretty huge, right? Compared to the ones in Lim Chu Kang, this one is bigger. So, what happened was that he reached to the block. He was supposed to deliver to level 9 or level 10, but as per usual, the older blocks will have this. At that time, they haven't been upgraded yet, so the blocks will actually be at the lifts will stop at 1612 or 1610, either one. So his delivery location, or the customer itself, was at the far end, right? So the highest floor for the lift, 1 floor down. So if the lift stops at level 11, the house will be at level 10. If the lift stops at level 12, the house will be at level 11. I can't recall which level actually. So he had to go 1 level down. So he went up to that level. Then now, for you guys who are having this kind of housing, right, with the corridor, I'm not trying to scare you guys, right? So what happened was that when he went up, he reached to that highest level. He came out. Now, the disadvantage of that block at that time was that the lift lobby was having walls at the side. So basically, you can't actually see the blind spot after that wall, right? Like the current blocks right now, you can see that the lift lobby is open on the top half, so you can actually see people coming in and going out to whichever unit they want to go. But this particular batch of blocks, they have not done any upgrade yet, so it's a full wall. So when you come out of the lift, you turn to the right or left, you cannot see whatever that is along the corridor. You need to go past that wall, only then you can see the corridor itself. So what happened was that he came out of the lift, and his customer is on the right hand side towards the end. It's a corner unit, so he has to go to the corner unit, go down 1 level down. So came out of the lift. He was walking towards the corridor. Then when he wanted to turn right, he saw her standing along the corridor. looking at him. So that is one issue. Okay. Usually on these kind of things, if for myself, if I do encounter this kind of thing, I would usually go one way, right? Go past, go all the way down. So he did go past politely, considerately, and she didn't disturb him. So he just went to send his order. Now, what he did that was a mistake was that he came up. He came back up and go towards the lift, go back to the lift. So he was thinking that by then maybe she would be gone. But sadly to say that when he came up, she was in a different location. This time, it's that same spot where she stood before at the corridor. This time she is outside of the corridor, which means she's floating in the air. So this friend of mine got so stressed out, really scared, that was praying all the way while waiting for the lift. That he prayed all the way down to his bike, and while he was walking towards his bike, she already arrived before him. So basically, she already tumpang the bike, waiting for the rider to go on. So he just kept on praying until she dissipated or disappeared. Then he quickly got on the bike. She moved off. Now, when he came back, like I mentioned, he was totally pale. I had to release him. He requested to be released because of the situation, so I released him. Then when he returned back home, now this is what he informed me the next day. When he returned back home, the father happened to be awake. So when he entered the house, the father scolded him and said, "Hey, why did you bring this?" I mean, it's kind of like a very censored word to say lah. Why did you bring this woman home? So the father told him to do his the prayers thing and go for prayers, while his father actually tried to ward off whatever that it followed him back. So who had this experience before? Wait till the next story, which is my own personal experience. Okay guys, so for this one, this next story was actually my own personal experience, up close and personal. Now, I don't want to scare you guys because most of the lifts right now are having windows. So sometimes a certain surprise may just come up. So this happened to me at one of the blocks near Woodlands Mart. The 700 series is the Woodlands Mart, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So it's the 700 series block. During that time, I was actually very active, going back and forth to Malaysia. I mean, going back and forth from JB to Singapore, Singapore to JB. Not only to top up petrol, but to get VCDs, to get Ramly Burger. I mean, who doesn't? So usually I will go with my buddy. So, but my buddy actually that time he was preoccupied, so he cannot make it. So I went in alone. Then before I went in, I asked him would he want to get anything from JB. So he said, as per usual, maybe get some new VCDs that has the ghost story. At that time, if for the Malays, they got this paranormal team called Wujud. But that one wasn't released in Malaysia. It was another version. They call it Entity. So this one is more to the realistic version, but from Indonesia. So I got that copy. I brought it in. Then I brought some snacks. I went over to his house, which is at the 700 series block. So what we did was actually just, since we already got the VCD, we got the Ramly burgers, we got some snacks. So I told him, okay, why not we watch now? So he turned on the VCD player, played the VCD, and it was really scary because that one you can actually see the physical being moving around. So that struck a fear, just a slight fear in both of us, because these things can actually be seen. So we watched and we watched until, eventually I fell asleep halfway. But he continued watching because he likes this kind of thing. I also like this kind of thing, but somehow I fell asleep. So, long story short, the VCD ended, the movie ended, and it's time for me to go back home. So I packed up everything. I went out of his house. I waited at the lift lobby for the lift to come up. So the lift at that time was actually from ground floor. Um, Somehow or other, early in the morning, there shouldn't be anyone taking the lift. But I guess for this lift, there was someone who actually wanted to take or decided to take the ride up. So I pressed for the button. I pressed for the lift, and the lift was making its way up. Unknown to me that there is something actually inside the lift. And like in the previous videos that I've shared, right, it's called sweetie, or in Malay terms called gula-gula, or somehow the actual name is actually, so basically I saw that thing in the window of the lift, and somehow I was at the time at level 6. um, at the end of it, while waiting for the lift, that thing appeared in the lift itself, and it stopped at level 7, just above. So with the considering the fear that actually the thing stopped at level 7 and up at level 6, so I quickly got into the lift, go straight down, start my bike, straight away went off. Now my buddy saw what happened because he know I usually when I go back home, I would just go down first, smoke a stick, warm up the engine, and once the cigarette is finished, then I will go back home. But for that night, I went down, I straight away start the engine and went straight home. So he asked me, hey bro, what happened? So I told him, yesterday there's one friend that actually took the lift. He is tired of hopping, he's tired of flying, he decided to take the lift, and he stopped at 7th floor. And I was at 6th floor. But all in all, luckily nothing happened, or all in all, luckily he didn't tumpang at the back of the bike. So do be careful, you guys, when you ride or you take the lift. Someone might be inside together with you, or someone just might decide to take the lift because he or she is tired of flying or hopping around. Okay, now for this one, actually was during my high school days, right? Back then I was part of a student council, so the guys in tie, upholding the so-called discipline in the school kind of thing. So we were sent for leadership course somewhere at Cambridge location, right? So we went for the course. That day went well, and then after that, we went to all the group games and stuff. Then before the day ended, we went for dinner and we call it a day. So everybody went back to their individual rooms to have their rest. Then I think at that time the lights out was about 10 o'clock or 10:30 or so, or was it 11 o'clock? Yeah, 11. So everybody was in the room. 11 o'clock, everybody's in bed. So the room was pretty quiet, but what I heard was definitely out of the context of Singapore. Now, while I was lying down in bed, actually I heard the stomping of foot, which automatically, if you think about stomping of the foot or the stamping of the foot, is like marching, right? So you will hear the footsteps. Now it's not one, but it's many. So it's like marching sound. But the one that actually send the shivers down my spine is actually the language. Why I say it's not within the context of Singapore is because the voices that spoke, or the voices that actually came out during the marching, was in Japanese. Now, I don't want to scare you guys if you guys happen to have a scheduled leadership training at that location. But what we were told was that the basketball court that was just in front of our rooms or block is actually the parade square that was previously used by the Japanese. And the obstacle course is actually beside the basketball court. That is the reason why we heard Japanese voices and the marching or the stamping of foot in the middle of the night. They are actually having a parade in the middle of the night at the basketball court. That is one of the experiences at that location. And if you guys are frequent riders along Cambridge, you can you can actually feel the presence while you are actually riding along that very deep turn along Cambridge. Highly advised to go through that turns slowly. Do not speed, right? Because sometimes it may come as a sudden shock to you. You will lose control, and to be frank, it is like genting. So once you go off the road, it is all the way straight down. So that is the area that you need to be careful. You can still feel some shivers there when you pass by in the middle of the night. So that is one location that maybe you guys who are keen on supernatural or paranormal investigations might want to go to. And previously also they did mention, or they did inform, that there was a case. It's supposed to be confidential, but anyway, it's a very long story. It was a possession, and the girl actually floated. She wasn't on the ground. She actually elevated to a higher level. If you guys play Street Fighter and you know the character Dalsim, that's how she is. Okay guys, so that is the last story for this finale episode. Alright, so from next week onwards, there will be no more shivers as per requested through the polling. Unfortunately, there's only one person who voted, so as requested, um, the Shivers episode will stop, and this will be the last episode for the Halloween Halloween season. Now, of course, there will be lots more to come in the near future, depending on what type of season that comes by. The next one that is coming is, I think, Diwali or Deepavali, then followed by Christmas and New Year. So do look out for some stuff in this channel. Now, if you like the content or like the video so far, all this while, all the 4 episodes, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for more new videos coming every week. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay informed of the latest video. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay safe, ride safe. Bye bye.